Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Tyrese Gibbs' um, film 1992. All right, so it just released today, and brand new film in August at the end of August. Actually, it's August 29th, 2024, and the movie just dropped, and it's brand new. And I saw it on opening night, and it asks a question of every dungeon master. Really fascinating question. Okay, so first of all, I just want to talk about my experience with the movie. First of all, 5 out of 5 star movie. This is every dungeon master content. Every dungeon master should see Tyrese Gibbs. And I'm sorry if his name is Tyrese Gibson. I'm not sure. I think it's Tyrese Gibbs. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But Tyrese Gibbs, and it's his film, right? And it's really good, and it's also, in my humble opinion, it's a Dungeons and Dragons movie. So wait, this 1992 movie, which is, by the way, spoilers for this film, okay? Spoilers for Tyrese Gibbs, 1992. All right, here we go. This movie is a heist movie. Okay, it's and it is happening on the actual real night in 1992. It is set in real Los Angeles in real 1992, in the real event when the 12 officers who beat Rodney King, brutally beat him, were acquitted, right? And on that night, Los Angeles burned. It just burned, right? And actually Tyrese Gibbs' character in the film actually says, the hood was burned. They robbed, they destroyed, they killed, people living in the hood, destroyed the hood, right? And he was also like, why did we do that? Why didn't we go out into the wealthy areas? He was like, why are we destroying our own things? Why are we killing our own people? Why are we stealing, things that are in our proximity? Right? It was excellent. It was a really fantastic film, but it's a fictional heist film starring Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son, and Tyrese Gibbs. Right now, how is this a Dungeons and Dragons movie? Well, how did Tyrese Gibbs and Scott Eastwood get in this movie? Well, the two of them worked on Fast and Furious, right? And where did they learn their chops for acting? The acting that was in this movie, where did they learn that? They learned that from Michelle Rodriguez, who is actually in who was in Fast and Furious, and in my humble opinion, was the template that both Scott Eastwood and Tyrese Gibbs learned to act from. She's the best actress in there's no one who's even close in any of the Fast and Furious movies. And I get to say that because I've seen every single one of them on opening night since Fast and Furious 1, right? Jason Momoa is the worst. I love him. He's a great dude. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I'm just saying he wasn't great in Fast and Furious 10. All right, let's keep going. All right, Fast X. All right, okay. So the reality is, and the reality is, there's a good chance that you're going to see Tyrese Gibbs and Scott Eastwood in the sequel to Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, because Michelle Rodriguez most likely will be able to pick whoever she wants from that franchise, right? So this is a Dungeons and Dragons film, in my humble opinion. All right, it's a phenomenal film. It's a really good film. Okay, now why is it a good film? Well, it's not. It is okay. There's multiple reasons why it's a good film. Let me list them. It's written tight as a drum. It is phenomenally written. Okay, it's sensible. It actually makes sense. What do you mean it makes sense? Like, that's not like believe it or not, that's an incredible thing today. Like, you go watch movies, and you're just like, this movie doesn't make any sense. Right? Like, it does literally. Like, half the things in it aren't explained. Like, were some people using recreational substances when this was written? The answer is almost certainly yes. It's Hollywood, right? Like, and just like, when they bought this book, did they intend to bring it to life or just shred it to pieces. Like, there's just all kinds of stuff, right? Like, but this is tight as a drum. The story actually makes sense. Every character in it is there for a reason, right? There's no superfluous characters. It is phenomenally done, right? But the biggest thing that you have to pay attention when you talk about this film is what's not in it. And that is the Hollywood checkbox row. The Hollywood checkbox column. And what is the Hollywood checkbox column? Environmentalism! You got to save the planet. You better be eating hummus. You better have a bog-awful electric car. And you sure as heck better be recycling. I know everything goes in the same hole. You better be recycling. The horrible, strangling environmentalism checkbox, right? The socialism checkbox. How dare you like capitalism, right? Yes, we know that socialism has failed abominably in every single nation it's ever been used in, right? Yes, we are aware that some of the worst atrocities have happened in socialist nations. But you better sign up for socialism, and everything you own, you better be ready to give it to somebody else. Because capitalism sucks, right? So no socialism checkbox. The catalyst checkbox. Catalyst. You better catalyst. Are you catalysting? It's nowhere, right? It's gone, right? Every single checkbox that is put into every single, Hollywood production. The Acolyte just slammed into a wall, right? Environmentalism, socialism, catalyst, right? Checkbox. Where's the Star Wars? I don't know. I can't see it from behind all those checkboxes, right? And so this is not there, right? Now, here's the problem. Here's the question that then comes to every dungeon master. How are we going to fix people if we don't have our own checkbox, right? How are we going to teach people how to live if we're not putting forward messages in our Dungeons and Dragons narrative, right? Because I have to say, I was shockingly, wonderfully delighted by 1992 because it did not have any of the traditional Hollywood checkboxes. It eschewed them, right? And I was like, well, wait a second. Does that mean I need to eschew the checkbox, my own J. Scott Garibay checkboxes that I put in every single Dungeons & Dragons session that I run? Or at least the campaign? I'll switch up the checkboxes per session. But they're all going to be there in the campaign. Wait a second. You need the J. Scott Garibay checkboxes because it's the right ones and it's going to fix people, right? And I have to say, I love Dungeons & Dragons because I believe it's a human improvement engine. And I absolutely do not enter any campaign without saying, I will fundamentally change forever, transform every single Dragon Master at this table. I will change them to the core. I will transform them. I will improve them. I will make sure they learn, right? And I do that with the J. Scott Garibay checkboxes. And I am very proud of the J. Scott Garibay checkboxes. Oh, they gotta be there, right? And I try to do it light, and I try to do it in ways that aren't even noticed, right? But when I saw 1992, I was like, what the higgledy heck, right? This has no checkboxes. This is just a raw, pure story told for the sake of story. No environmentalism, no celebration of environmentalism, no celebration of socialism, no celebration of catalyst, right? That's profound. That is profound, right? And it made me think, oh my gosh, what if the J. Scott Garibay checkboxes are not as subtle as I think? What if my players are like, oh my gosh, what if I just got a story for story's sake? And it's a good question to every dungeon master. I don't think we can give up on Dungeons and Dragons being a human improvement engine. I think it's a waste of time to play Dungeons and Dragons for fun, right? But boy, man, when I saw this film, I was like, that is a baller heist movie. This thing is tight from the top to the bottom. This is a real film. This is a real narrative, right? And it was enjoyable. Right? So it makes me think. it makes me think, are the J. Scott Garibay check boxes as subtle as I think they are? I think I reject the Hollywood check boxes because I despise every one of them. I'm like, hey, I'm against environmentalism. I'm against socialism. I'm against catalyst, right? I'm against every single one of these. You know them. You've seen them in every film, right? Every film. Certainly every Disney film, right? Like, oh, let's add this in, and you're like, did that need to be added in? None of those were needed. And it's nonstop. It's a drumbeat and everything. And so it really makes me wonder, maybe what I should do is, first of all, right now I don't do every checkbox in every session. And I think that's one of the problems we have with Hollywood. It's this checkbox. Environmental, socialism, catalyst. Oh, they gotta be in every single episode. Every single episode. Let's just pile them up like pancakes, right? And I, at least, am not putting my checkboxes in every single session, right? All of my checkboxes are in every campaign. Now I'm thinking, well, wait a second. Maybe you only need to hit all the checkboxes once a year, and maybe 2 checkboxes out of your 5 are in this campaign, and then the other 3 go in whatever other campaign you run that year, right? Or if you're doing 5 campaigns, maybe you're only doing 1 checkbox per campaign, and spread it out, right? And maybe not every single person, maybe not every Dragon Master at every campaign needs to be utterly transformed. Maybe 1 Dragon Master can come out learning or improving. And maybe they transform when they're away from the table because of what they learned at the table, right? It's deep, it's profound, right? And I have to admit, am I Hollywood to my players? It's a good question. It's a good question. See 1992. This thing's a banger. It's fantastic. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. What's important is when I get to your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.